Hey guys, what's going on? ZeroArmada here with the secondary weapon build guide, customization, and commentary. This build guide is basically going to be split up into two videos. First video is going to be the shotgun, the SARC, the snub nose, and the breech loaded pistol. And then the second video is going to cover the remaining secondary receivers that I have yet to talk about. Just like any primary build guide that I've put out, everything is subject to my own opinion, kind of my own play style, so to speak. So at the very least, you guys get something more or less a push in the right direction for you, but you have to kind of experiment and kind of find something that best suits your play style. And for example, for me, I rarely use a secondary now. Secondary weapons are a last resort, usually if I don't have ammo on my primary weapon or I can't reload fast enough on my primary weapon to get out of a fight alive, then I resort to my secondary. So with that in mind, and kind of the frequency or the lack of a frequency for me using a secondary, I kind of resort to just going for full out damage on my secondary weapons as opposed to ease of use, because they're rarely used and they're more or less a target's tagged, or a target's really hurt when I'm using a secondary to begin with. So kind of finish them off with as much damage as possible is kind of my own approach to the secondaries in general. So with the shotgun, max damage pretty much. Grip, the second grip, the Briar BR-SGP1, is a direct upgrade. As you can see, recoil and fire rate. So pretty much buy it when you can. Great choice, because it's pretty much the only choice you have. Barrel, went with the high damage barrel. The third barrel, the Overmatch MCV Breach, is more of a run speed and a scope in time barrel. As you can see, let's go to the default barrel and then we'll show you. Krange increases damage but lowers your, or actually increases your spread. And then run, range, and scope and time are also increased as well. So that's kind of an issue. With the ease of use is pretty much hindered, but you get 2 points of extra damage. And then this is pretty much useless unless you want the run speed benefit, but like I said, if you're barely using your secondary to begin with, that's kind of negligible as a result. And no one really scopes in with the shotgun as well. You're not going to scope in on like Vortex and going to shoot someone across the map viably. So really the third barrel's out the window. Pretty much your choice is between ease of use and damage, so I went with the damage in this case. Magazine, you have a couple choices. If you want an extra point of damage, you can go for the Magnum round. I prefer the extended just to have a little bit more ammunition to kind of work with. Similar mindset though with the barrel and the ease of use. I don't really touch the run time and the reload speed as much because I'm barely going to reload or use the weapon to begin with, so that those things aren't really a factor. So I went with the extended magazine in this case. Scopes are preferential. You're not going to really use a scope on a shotgun, so just put whatever you want on it and hope for the best, I guess. Hell, let's put a IR on it just for giggles. And then the last thing we have is the ACP-3 collapsible stock. One for spread. This one's kind of more or less something you want to gauge on your own. I kind of went with spread, but you can definitely try recoil on your shotgun if you please. Okay, so that's out of the way. Second receiver we have is the SARC, the shotgun. That's kind of the more automated shotgun. And pretty much this thing sucks. If you're going to use a shotgun, just use the regular shotgun. But just to have a barrel or a build out there. Barrel, went with the high damage barrel. The Overmatch, a heavy X3. Magazine, you have a couple choices. Extended, but the drum barrel is godly on this thing, because you're gonna need like a lot of shots to kill someone usually with the SARC as opposed to the shotgun, and it's kind of more of a spray type weapon to begin with. So the drum barrel synergizes really well with the SARC, I feel, so I kind of use that. Scope is preferential. Don't use a scope on a SARC, and don't ADS with the SARC, please. That's bad news to begin with. And stock, we got the Vulcan ACP-3 collapsible again. More or less something you might want to experiment with and see. Probably AC-10 sharp, collapsible. Maybe you might want to go with the CQC slash, not the CQC slash B, the where is it? There it is. Yeah, the CQC slash B. There's 2 of them, so the V2 folding is the one you want probably. So there's a couple of choices there. So those are the 2 shotguns, and then we'll go over the breech loaded pistol and the snub nose. So breech loaded pistol, you really don't have that much to work with here. You have your magazine and you have your scope pretty much. Kind of the cool thing is the magazines completely changed the complexion of the gun. So you have the default explosive round, you shoot it, and if it sticks on a target, it detonates after a few seconds. That's 250 damage. Or you can go with the incendiary round. You have 1 shot, but you have 3 actual bullets to shoot with. And with the incend round, you do 300 damage over time. So if you have a really heavy build, or if you want more damage, you can go with the incend round, but it's damage over time as opposed to damage up front with the explosive round. So even if you hit them with the incend, if they're by a depot, they can actually survive. Or if they have a couple people healing them with a med kit, they can still survive. So that's kind of the caveat with using the incend as opposed to the explosive round. And then you have the scatter shot, which is basically a 50 damage kind of a shotgun. So if you want a shotgun and you breech loaded pistol, that can also be viable for CQC type of a weapon. And then for the scope, unless you're using the scatter shot, you're probably not going to even have to ADS with the scatter shot to begin with. You want to go with something long range, so probably the Krange ELO-Tech for those long shots. And then the snub nose, pretty much you have magazines that you can work with here. You have the precision round, which pretty much reduces your spread. But you lose ammo and you lose a little bit of ease of use from your recoil as a result. Then you have the high caliber round, which basically increases damage up to 125. Incend round and electro and explosive and toxic, those are basically pretty similar to any primary weapon out there. So it pretty much has the same effects as most primary weapons do for the actual elemental ammos, as well as the magnum round, but they're a little bit more amplified or changed for the snub nose in general. So you can pretty much, most of this stuff, like I said, you probably want to play around with it, because the thing with the breech loaded pistol and the snub nose, most of the ammunition kind of really changes the weapons, as opposed to typical ammo from a primary weapon or any other secondary weapon is kind of more of an extension. Pretty much the magazine on these 2 receivers make up the gun completely. So it's just something you have to try out with. Personally though, if you had to choose, I would go with the explosive round on the breech loaded pistol, and then I'd probably either go for the high caliber or the magnum round. Most likely the high caliber though, just for the highest damage I can get out of it. But that's pretty much it. It was a pretty short commentary because the last 2 weapons aren't really that much of an issue with customizing it, because you have so many limited options. The next video, like I said, will cover most of the primary, or not most of the primary, most of the secondary pistols out there that I've yet to cover, as well as the machine pistol. And yeah, thanks for watching as always, guys. Much appreciated.